So just find a comfortable seat. As always, listen to your body. If you're like, I want to lay down, go ahead and lay down. But if it's available to take a comfortable seat, please do that. And that can even be sitting in a chair, sitting on the couch. But find your sit bones in the earth. Lengthen your spine. Do any moving, wiggling that you need to do to feel into that space. And so the moon is shifting. The moon is waxing right now. Last week we had the solstice and the new moon. We're moving towards the full moon. That'll be in the first week of this new year. So we're in this waxing space. But the moon energy, when the moon comes out of the void, it will be in the mutable water. So the solar energy right now is all about structure and tangible and foundation. So take a moment to feel into the structure, feel into the tangible, feel into the foundation, feel into your bones and your flesh. And again, this physical structure, the boundary of your body. Adjust your seat, even manually lift the flesh to find your sit bones, wiggle your toes, roll your shoulders one way and then the other. And again, just take any other little movement. So the Capricorn energy rules the bones, right? It rules the skeleton. So in this first seat, can you feel into the bones? Can you feel into that physical structure? And then let your eyes close. Press your hands into your thighs to lift up out of your pelvis, or you can reach your fingertips down into the mat. Chin slightly tucked, but mostly parallel to the earth, shoulders down the back. So again, can you feel your structure? Can you feel the back of your body, the skull, the neck, the spine, the muscles of the back, the sits bones, the legs, the front of the body? Feeling the shins and thighs and belly, chest and throat and face. And again, just for a moment, feel the back and the front, really arriving in the physicality of your space. And maybe then sense the right side of the body, the right side of the space, and the left. And just really arriving in the structure of your body and of the room. Can you feel into the room holding you? The walls, the ceiling, the windows. Arrive in the physical space. And then slide a hand to heart, a hand to belly. And take a deep breath in. Fill the body all the way up. Pause at the top. Lengthen your spine. Open mouth, sigh everything out. And again, take a deep breath, fill the body, lengthen, and sigh. One more time, deep breath in. Sit up as tall as you can, lengthen, pause again, feel the back of the body, the front of the body, feel the space. Side out. And then inhale, sweep the arms up or out to the sides. And then exhale, pull down. And just start to move the arms. Inhale, sweep and stretch, and exhale, draw down. So the yoga this week, the union that we are seeking between the sun and the waxing moon is, again, the solar energy for this entire month is in this tangible, physical container, the bones, the structure, the resolutions, the goals, the intention. But for the next 3 days, the moon will be in the mutable water, the dreaming, the dissolving, the swimming fish energy. This is the energy that releases and cleanses and clears. And then we'll move into the fire element to burn out the year. We'll burn out this year with fire and earth, and fire is spirit and transformation. So we want to maintain this awareness of our body, our structure, our space. We want to sort of consider where we want to head in this new year. But for the next few days, as we follow the moon, as the moon begins to get bigger and brighter in the sky, it's about flow. It's about clearing. It's about anything that we don't want to carry into this new year. So can we hold the tension between foundation and sort of physical possibility, and also that like emotional and spiritual flow, that emotional and spiritual cleansing? Let your hands come down to the heart. And as we set this intention to hold space between earth and water and earth and fire, we invoke the waxing moon, Om Chandraya Namaha. You can just listen or hum, or you can join in. Om Chandraya Namaha. Inhale, sweep the arms up, pause, lengthen through the spine, draw your sit bones down, your shoulders down, lift. Exhale, bring your hands to your shins, round your spine. And let's just go right into circles. So maintaining the structure of your seat, can you start to move through your head, your chest, your torso, your hips, soften the jaw. So whenever we talk about the relationship between earth and water, it's container and flow. So if you just throw a cup of water, right, what happens? It spills, it falls, it goes everywhere. But if you put water into a cup, you put it into a bowl, what happens, right? There's this container, you can see how much it is, you can sense it, you can work with it. And so that's always sort of the dynamic we want. We want to have enough water to sort of be in that flow space, and the earth to be a container, to be a boundary. Go ahead and reverse the direction. And boundary is a very good word for this first cycle. It's not so much about setting your resolutions as it is setting your boundaries for yourself and others this year. And I was just listening to a yoga nidra with one of my favorite teachers for this season. And she was like, we forget that most of the time boundaries equal love, because we're a culture that does not like boundaries, right? We're a very sort of childlike culture, and children don't like it. I saw my cousin today, and she's got an almost 2-year-old. And at that age, they just want to go right into the street. They just want to go right where you don't want them to. And when you grab them, they scream bloody murder, but it's like, you have to set that boundary, right? That's how we learn. And that's a lot of what this cycle is about as we move through the holidays. It's like, where are those healthy boundaries? And so that's a good word to be meditating on between now and the full moon. Go ahead and come back to center. Inhale, lengthen, flex your feet, lift up, walk your hands forward, and breathe into the hips, breathe into the low back. You can rock a little bit, you can pulse, lengthen your spine, soften the jaw. So even within your bodies, right? So a boundary is basically a point that you can't cross without causing harm, right? So that's sort of like my simple definition of a boundary. So there can be physical boundaries. If I push my shoulder too much, I'm going to hurt my shoulder, right? Emotional boundaries. If I push this conversation, this person, this topic, feelings are going to get hurt, right? So it's like, that's a really important thing, especially when we're dealing with this container of earth with the moon filling up in water and fire, right? Like, what is the boundary to support emotional safety, spiritual safety, and ultimately physical safety? Deep breath in, exhale out, slowly roll it up, switch the cross of the legs if you're cross-legged, or just make sure your seat is still sustainable. Again, tend to the physical structure, shift the weight, come up onto your sit bones, wiggle the toes. And again, for a moment, just feel in front and back and sides into that skeletal structure. So a lot of times in yoga as well, if we harm ourselves, it's often in the transition between poses. We learn that in teacher training. It's not often in the pose itself, it's when we're moving in and out. So we take that moment to ground and settle, and then we can find flow. Inhale up, just moving through the side body now. So relax the shoulders, lengthen the spine. Just move with the breath. And so again, feeling into the boundaries of the body, the breath. So again, the breath can only go so far. And generally speaking, if we're not breathing, we don't want to be moving. We want to exhale as we side bend, inhale as we come back through center. And when the breath is complete, so is the movement. And so when we sometimes go past that, we're pushing that boundary of breath and body. So the Capricorn energy is the bones, the physical structure. The moon entering Pisces. Pisces is a lymphatic system and the feet, right? So again, right there, the relationship between the bone and the lymph, right? Not a lot of relationship because the lymph helps to flush out the body. It's part of that purification. The bones stabilize the body. Whatever side you come to next, go ahead and hold. Roll your shoulders down. So first tend to the structure. Maybe the top arm needs to be adjusted behind the head, behind the back. Or again, maybe you find a little flow here, a little pulse, turning the palm up and down. You can even, if you have that top arm up, you can stretch it forward and back. Turn your gaze. So structure, container, and then flow. And in a lot of traditions of Hatha yoga, physical yoga, we talk about that. Usually the first principle is setting a foundation. And then you start to create some more movement. Inhale it up, exhale to the other side. And again, each side is different. So checking in with the structure. What is the boundary here? What is too much for the shoulder? What is too much for the sit bone? And again, maybe if there's space, there's a little bit of movement, a little bit of water. Right? So water is that flow. The lymphatic system actually responds to movement. That's one of the best ways to get the lymph moving, is just to move, to bounce, to pulse, to flow. Inhale, reach everything up, lengthen, exhale, twist left hand behind you, right hand to the left knee, long spine looking to the left, return your gaze forward. Again, breathe into the back of the body. Lengthen through front of the body, ground through the lower body, lift through the upper body. Take a deep breath in, let the breath continue to flow even as we hold the movement. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, twist to the other side, roll the shoulders down. So again, feel into that structure. Notice any change in the body. Lengthen through the spine, soften the jaw. Breath continues to flow. Relax the face. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, reach up, big stretch, lengthen, exhale, hands forward, walk it out, stretching out that other hip. This side might be tighter, so you can flex your feet, wiggle your toes, keep your spine lifted, soften your jaw. And again, feel into that structure. And a little pulse, little flow. Moving through water, and a fire is always potent as the moon gets bigger and brighter. And again, in this weird space between the holidays and the new year, a lot of us off our schedules, experiencing different kinds of weather. Take a deep breath. Exhale here. Roll yourself up, stretch your legs out, take your hands behind you. Rock out your legs, so feet about shoulder distance apart. And then roll your ankles. So again, really good for the lymphatic system, also for the bones. And other way. And then sit up, bring your hands into loose fists and draw one leg in and just very lightly pound the bottom of the foot. You can stay with the foot or you can do the calf. And then up to the thigh. Again, just moving up with the lymphatic system. Everything travels up to the heart and then kind of gets cleansed there. And then switch. So good week for a massage if you can swing it. With that physical structure as well as the lymphatic system. Massage is another great way to kind of get the lymph moving. You can also do self-massage. In Ayurveda, we warm up oil and just gently do a little self-massage, just everything towards the heart. Okay, stretch the leg back out, take the hands behind you, bend the knees, feet as wide as the mat, and just start to do a little windshield wiper. So just releasing the lower body. If this is too much to be on your hands, you can lay on your back and do this. Otherwise, just getting a little bit of opening through the upper back, a little bit of weight bearing through the wrists. Again, having that physical support and structure, but you can always lay down. Deep breath in and out. Bend your knees, take the feet wider than the mat, hands inside. Grab hold of the ankles, lift the chest, variation squat. Hug the knees in towards the elbows, push down through your feet, lift your toes. So again, feeling that whole skeletal structure. Feet up the legs, through the knees, the thighs, the hips, spine, shoulders, all the way through the skull. Take a big breath in and then a lion's breath, stick out your tongue. One more. And then walk your legs in, squeeze your knees together, wrap your arms around your legs. Hold on to the shins, lift up. Exhale, lean back, feel the core engaged, just a little boat flow. Inhale up, exhale round. So the next 3 days we have water moon, and then we go into 3 days of fire moon. And we'll have a double earth to actually come into the new year. And then we'll end next week with the first full moon of the new year and Mercury retrograde. So again, just go with the flow, right? Like tend to those boundaries, honor those boundaries, and just kind of, you know, notice what's going on. A few more breaths, keep the chest lifted. If you want a little more core, you can move the arms up and then back. Otherwise, just hold onto the legs and roll down and back. And a little bit of flow. And then hold. You can hold behind the thighs. You can hold the arms up, keep the feet down, squeeze the knees together, lift the chest. Again, feel into the structure. Deep breath in. Exhale, hug into the legs. Little rock. And then transition to all fours if that's accessible. If it's not, come back into a comfortable seat. Maybe bring the soles of the feet together. Hands under the shoulders, knees under hips. So again, feel into that foundation. The fingers are spread. The index fingers make a sort of looks like the number 11. We're pressing down through the pads of the fingers. I like to have my hands about as wide as the mat. Definitely as wide as your shoulders. Knees under hips. Press through your hands, soften the elbows. The eyes of the elbows are looking towards each other. Long spine, chin slightly tucked, so crown to tailbone. So this is our foundation. And then from here, we can inhale, drop the belly, open the chest, start to find that flow. Exhale, round back into cat. So flowing through cat-cow, so we have that container, and now we feel into flow. And you can do this from seated. And from that maybe bound angle position or whatever's comfortable. Keep pressing down through your hands, either pushing through the tops of the feet or tuck the toes. And again, noticing the boundary of the breath, right? So when we start to flow, it's like, oh, it just feels so good to move. But are you pushing past that physical container further than you can breathe? And then you can stay with this, or you can start to feel into a bigger flow. So a lot of you have been practicing for a while know that you can take this and add down dog or child's pose. If you're seated, you might start to take it more into like a circular movement or a figure eight. If you're on all fours, you can do that too. So for a couple moments, just let yourself sort of surrender to flow. But don't lose that form. Keep some presence through the hands, through the support. If those of you, feeling the waxing moon, have a little more energy, you want to bring in a little plank or even down into, some cobra or up dog, feel free. Just create this container, this space right now for a little bit of flow while honoring the boundary of the physical body and the breath. So if you start to feel pain in the joints or pain in any other part of the body, or you're running out of breath, or the breath is getting shallow, just come back to that cat-cow. If you're doing a circular movement, make sure to go to both ways. And then slowly come back to that neutral spine. So hands under the shoulders, knees under the hips, or just sitting comfortably. You can also come onto your belly for a variation of what we're about to do next, if you're not comfortable on all fours. Hands under shoulders, knees under hips, spine is long. Draw the belly in, press down through your hands, and then see if you can lift your right arm straight up, shoulder height, palm facing down, and then lower it down. And then again, just notice how the foundation shifts. Lift the left arm up, roll the shoulder down the back, no higher than the shoulder, and then lower. Notice what happens. And then lift your right leg up, hip height, lower it down. Left leg up, and you can do this on your belly as well, just alternating, and then lower. And then you can play with that. You can go from right arm to left and then the legs, or you can combine both. I always find it interesting. A lot of us are so used to lifting right leg and then we lift left arm, right? So we've trained our bodies. So it's kind of fun sometimes, even when we have a lot of structure in our yoga, to shift the body around. Muscle confusion is a legitimate thing. So you can start to play with lifting and alternating arm and leg, but maybe notice how you do that. And again, tend to that structure. Don't go right into that muscle memory, right? Keep that foundation and then start to find flow. Inhale to lift, exhale to lower. Either just one, arm at a time and then leg at a time, or arm and leg. And again, you can do this on your belly, either one arm and one leg, or you can alternate, kind of like you're swimming, which is appropriate for our Pisces. Good. And then see if you can hold wherever you are. Breathe. Notice that foundation. And then release. Switch. Hold. Lengthen. And release. Push back into a down dog or child's pose. Or if you're on your belly, you can just rest with a little pillow of your hands under your head. Feel into the hands, into the hips, into the forehead. Take a few breaths. And then slowly make your way up to stand. So take your time, get up there in any way that works for you. Feet hip width distance apart, toes pointing forward. So Tadasana mountain. And again, just take a moment. We haven't done anything standing yet. I don't actually think last week we got up to standing at all. So no, maybe we did last week. It was the week before. And so feeling into, again, front of the body, back of the body, right? The lines of the body, the planes of the body, the right, the left, how you're oriented in your room. These are the boundaries. These are the space. Again, toes forward, shoulders back, chin parallel. And then inhale, reach up. Pause here as you lift, soft knees, lifting the chest, soft elbows. Exhale, draw hands to heart. And then again, just inhale, arms up or out to the side. Exhale, draw down. Again, keeping the foundation as you start to bring a little bit of flow. When we lift the arms up like this, it creates a heart opener, which kind of helps to lift the organs up and open Again, get that spinal movement. Stretching the front body. Good. And we'll take it into that half sun salute. Inhale up. Exhale, forward fold. Soft knees, hands come to floor, blocks, shins or thighs. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, circle the arms back up, lift up. Exhale, hands to heart. You return to that Tadasana. Let's change with the feet, with the legs. And you can always just stay with just moving that upper body, or you can find that forward fold. Get that opening through the back of the body. And move within the boundary of the breath, within the stretch. And if anyone would like to take this into a full sun salutation, the waxing moon is often the time that feels good. You don't have to, so I'll do one just in case anyone is interested. So as you reach up, exhale, fold down. Inhale halfway, exhale, step to a plank. Can be modified. Inhale, exhale, lower through your knees, lower down to the belly. Tops of the feet down, elbows and thumbs in line with the chest. Inhale, lift up, cobra, shoulders back. Exhale, roll back into a downward dog. Deep breath in. Exhale, step or hop up to the hands to the feet. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep up. Hands to heart. You can do a couple more like that, or just stay with the half sun salute. So listening to the boundary of the body and the breath. For some people, the sun salutation, Surya Namaskar, is sort of like a great movement because it gets the whole body. For others, it takes a lot of energy. But it's a nice combination of that structure and flow when practiced appropriately. That's a nice way to work with earth, fire, water, air. Couple more breaths wherever you are. You're just moving through the arms or folding through the limbs or adding that Surya Namaskar. And the next time you come up to standing, take your time, no rush, just releasing into that mountain. And feeling the body, the breath. And front and back and sides, upper and lower. Place a hand to heart, a hand to belly, soften your knees. Begin to circle through the hips, just little circles. This is a really nice movement for the core and the low back. Also the lymphatic system. Relax the jaw, relax the face. So the sun salutation movement, both half and full, is very front and back body, right? So now feeling into that more circular motion. And then reverse. And come back to center. Inhale, arms up. Right hand to left wrist. Pull up and over. Soften the elbows. Ground through the feet. So keep the integrity of mountain pose as you stretch up and over. And then push down through the feet. Lift up left hand to right wrist. Reach up and over. Soft elbows. And then bring it up. Exhale, hands to heart. Slide your hands to your hips. We're going to come into tree pose again. Tree pose is one of my favorite positions for Capricorn cycle, a lot of the earth cycles actually. So really feeling that foundation, ground the left leg, rotate the right hip, place the foot to the ankle, the calf, or the thigh. You can also use a chair or a wall for your hands. And if it's too much to do this rotation with the knee, just draw the knee into the chest and just start to work that balance, work that stabilization. Otherwise, hands can use support, come to the hips, heart and belly, or you can play with that extension. So we are planting seeds for this next year. This whole cycle is about planting seeds. But, you know, if you've ever gardened, you know it's tricky with seeds, because you can place them exactly the way they need to be placed. And then the weather shifts, right? The weather changes. It's a whole process. So sometimes we just gotta let it go, or other times we'll think the seeds didn't take, and then a couple of weeks later, the sprouts start. So there is this, like, you know, set the foundation, take the action, and surrender. In yoga, we talk about that yoga of action. We take action, we reflect, but at some point we surrender. So we're already getting a little taste of that this week. Exhale, release. And then between sides, give yourself a good shake or like a little bounce or hop, if that's okay for your body. So again, for the lymphatic system, a little bounce, a little hop. Some good exhales are really nice, but if the body doesn't like the bouncing or the hopping, just some good shaking. Nice thing to do for at least 30 seconds or more during your day. Kind of shaking stuff out. Deep breath in and release. And then ground through the right leg. Rotate the left hip. So each side is different. So the foundation might be different. So you might need more support, less support. Taking the foot to the ankle, shin, thigh, or again, maybe this side, the knee comes to chest. Hands to hip or heart or belly, or reach up. Relaxing the shoulders. So we held a little bit of a longer tree, because again, working with that foundation, and a little bit of flow happens, right? So it's hard to stay completely still in tree pose. My pants are feeling very slippery on this side. They didn't on the other side. Which again, you know, bodies are so different. It's like I'm wearing the same pants on both legs, wearing the same socks. But for whatever reason, this side feels slippery. So you got to adjust that container. Notice the breath. Notice the body. A deep breath in and release. And again, not as long, but a little shake, a little bounce, a little shimmy. Soften the jaw. And then take the feet comfortably wide, soften your knees, and find a little twisting. So a little flow. But you need to press down through the feet. So a twist can only happen if one part of the body is stable. So if my whole body is kind of moving, it's more of a turn. But if I'm keeping stability through at least that one side, there's the twist. Big, big inhale. Open mouth with some sound. Ah. This is my dramatic sigh movement. Big breath in. Ah. Oh, don't get too dramatic. Start hitting things. Take another big breath and let it out. Ah. Bring it back to center. Turn the feet wide. We're just going to take a wide leg forward fold. So legs as wide as is comfortable, toes pointing forward, hands to hips, or clasp the hands behind the back. Roll the shoulders back, soften your knees, lift the chest. So press into the feet, lift the toes, open the heart. Stay here or start to roll yourself down. The hands can stay at the knuckles or start to lift overhead, or just release your arms down to the floor, to blocks, to the couch, the chair. You can always take the feet wider or closer. If you have the hands clasped, you can sort of Rock your chest a little bit. You can also bend the knees, rock the knees, soften the jaw. Deep breath. If you're doing the shoulder clasp, take another breath and then release the hands down. Don't want to hold that too long. And just enjoy this wide forward fold. Very grounding. And again, great for the hips. And like I said, if you want to add a little skandasana, bending the knees, rocking the hips, bring that flow into the container. Otherwise, just stay still. Soften the jaw. And of course, if there's any other variations or things that you like in this pose, feel free to go for it. Bring it back to center. We're going to play with a little bit of twist. I'm going to give you a couple options for your twist. So right hand under the face, it can also be on a block. Left hand to the low back, rotate the chest. You can keep the knees soft, feet planted, or left arm up. So this is the first option, left hand to hip or left arm up. Other option, lengthen and then twist that left arm under the right arm, grab for the outside of the right leg, and you walk that right hand out. Very cleansing twist. We're also in an inversion here. Very detoxifying for this water, fire, lunar week. Purifying our physical structure. Take another deep breath in wherever you are. Exhale, release it out. Give yourself a little shake, little rock. And then we'll switch. Left hand under the face, maybe on a block. Right hand to hip or arm up. Knees are soft, hips are back. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, if you want, weave that right arm under the left. Reach for the outside of that left leg. Walk the left hand forward. Slide your hips back. Soften the knees. Great detox pose. Inhale. Exhale, release. Into the forward fold. Shake it out. Take a couple more breaths. And then heel toe your feet in and lower into squat. Now, you can always grab a block and put it underneath your butt or come back in that version we did earlier where your butt was down with your knees bent. Otherwise, coming into squat, lifting the toes, lifting the chest. And how much can you lift up out of the pelvis here? So getting that great opening through the whole spine. Again, feeling that physical structure. Softening the jaw, face. Take a deep breath in. We'll do 3 lion's breaths. Big breath. And then exhale onto your bottom. You can shift the body if you need to. Stretch your legs out, shake them out. And we're going to move into a hip opener. You can do this on your back. So if you already know that you prefer sleeping pigeon, go ahead and move on to that. Otherwise, we're going to move towards fire log. Taking the right leg, crossing it over the left thigh. And then the left foot can come down. You can bring your hands behind you like we did at the beginning of the practice. You can stay here. You can roll onto your back for this position in sleeping pigeon, or you can walk the left foot towards the right and stack your shins for Agni Stambhasana. Apparently I haven't done this in a couple weeks. It's pretty tight there. Pressing your feet straight out, lifting up through the spine. So very important if you're in Agni Stambhasana that you are aware of the foundation. The spine is lifted, you're not slouching back, the feet are coming straight out, there's no pain in the joint. And if you're on your back in sleeping pigeon, the skull is down and the tailbone's down, and we're opening up through that right thigh. So again, feel into that foundation and find the flow of breath, a little rock, a little pulse. For some of you who are seated, you might start to walk forward. And again, the breath, really noticing if you can breathe deeply here. Exhales out the mouth, a little hum, sigh, letting that vagus nerve start to reset. Let your eyes soften. Again, the skeleton is here to support, right? So we soften into that skeletal structure. Once we're stable, once we're safe, we don't want to drop into the joints if it's not appropriate. And then we feel the flow of the blood, the breath. So on the inhale, everything moves out to the edges. So the way the lymphatic system works is kind of, my teacher describes it as a jellyfish. So the way jellyfish kind of propel themselves. So it kind of like opens up as you inhale and then comes in and moves towards the heart on the exhale. So for just the next couple breaths, again, when you feel from that structure as you settle into a little bit of surrender. When we're in a hip opener, we want that surrender. Can you feel that inhale sort of moving to the edges and then exhale, drawing in? Hip openers help to release the emotional debris, right? So that purification. Deep breath in. And just take an exhale here. So let go a little more. And this sort of foundation flow would be a great practice throughout up to the full moon next week. So again, it's a water full moon. So this full moon water moon we're coming into right now is sort of setting that space for maybe some things that might come up around the full moon. So just this idea of foundation, flow, right? Boundary as far as the emotional, physical relationship. Take a deep breath in again. Exhale, release. Bring it up, very mindfully release. Maybe give a little wiggle, a little shake, little rock. And then coming into side two. And side two can be different. So if you know that your left side is more tender, then maybe you do this on the back. Or if you're like, this is my more open side. So sometimes on this side, I kind of like to stay up on my hands a little bit longer and just open up, and then I'll again come to stack the shins, or again, might not be appropriate on this side. So breathe and feel into the front and back of the body. If you're on your back, is your skull lengthening, your tailbone lengthening? Are you breathing deeply? If you're seated, again, are you up on your sits bones, spine long? Again, feet pressing straight out. We're not sickling, not settling into the joints. Can you relax your jaw, your eyes? Because it's nice too, if you're seated, you can kind of massage your feet here. As I said, Pisces is the feet and the lymphatic system. Always a good time for a foot massage. What can I say? Just again, feeling into the breath. Big inhale here. We're going to stay here, but see if you can settle into that exhalation. Let go a little more. Inhale. Exhale, slowly release. And give a little shake. If you are on your butt, move your sit bones out of the way. Find that foundation. If you're on your back, you can hug your knees in. And then if you're seated, soften the knees, point the toes towards the face. Take your hands by your hips, lengthen your spine. This is Dandasana, staff pose. Pulling the toes back, really lifting up and out of the pelvis. Draw the ears back, shoulders back, belly in. Take another big breath. And then exhale, start to lean forward just a little bit. And then inhale, sweep the arms up, lift up. Exhale, stretch towards the toes. And if you're on your back, you can always just bend and straighten the arms as you move the legs. Inhale up, exhale, reach out. Or you can come up and do this from your seat too. Exhale, a couple more times. So keep lengthening through the whole front and back. And this time, let yourself lower down towards the legs. Flex the feet, soften the jaw. If you're on your back too, you can always alternate extending the legs. So like draw the right knee in, then stretch the right leg up, and then the left. If you don't want this intense stretch, you can lay on the back and do one leg at a time. And keep lengthening, softening. Inhale. Exhale, roll your spine up. And if you're not there already, you can roll onto your back, hug the knees in, and then consider how you want to finish your practice. It might be nice to put your legs up the wall or up the bed, or just stretch out into Shavasana on the back, and you put a pillow under your head or under your knees. I know some of you like to lay over the bolsters and the blankets. If that feels good, you can go ahead and do that. Just give yourself 5 minutes. If you feel like you need more rest today, then you can always leave the video and take as long of a Shavasana as you want. But otherwise, again, tend to the structure, the skeleton, the breath, the bones. And then where can you surrender to the flow? And where can you just feel what's coming up? And noticing that space between the physical and the emotional. Moon waxing. We head towards this new calendar year. Just being in the flow, paying attention to the boundaries, or setting them for ourselves, for others. Remembering that, again, placing a boundary is an act of love, oftentimes for everybody. And this idea of a boundary being something that if we go beyond, it will cause harm. whether to us or to someone else. And a lot of times it's just basically what we're capable of at this time. Boundaries can change sometimes, but right now, if I do this, it will harm me physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, or it may cause harm to someone else in that way. And so as there's a lot of emotional energy moving up with this incoming full moon, as I said, a couple energetic transits, creating a little bit of confusion as we enter this new year. And we always want to enter that new year, right, with that fresh slate feeling. But, you know, life is messy. And as much as it's like, okay, new year, new every, it's like, it's not really that way, you know, wherever you go, there you are, whatever the calendar says. So one of the best ways to create sustainable change, which is one of the goals of yoga, is to establish the boundaries. At what point, if I go past this, am I causing harm or potentially creating it? How can I figure out my appropriate container and within that, create that flow? And that was even for me, like next week, which is supposed to be my vacation and family. I was still trying to figure out, like, oh, maybe I can teach if I do this or do, and it's like, or I could just take a vacation. And that's been a struggle for my whole adult life. Because I want to, you know, I want to teach or I want to do certain things. And, you know, ultimately, is that going to create some kind of unnecessary challenge or harm? And sometimes it is just unnecessary stuff. So wherever you are in this holiday vortex and this waxing moon, honor your body, your breath, the boundaries you've already placed, or perhaps the ones you are being inspired to place, so that you can find the flow, you can find the joy, you can find the inspiration. Just give yourself another moment or two here. Deep breath in, fill all the way up. Pause and let it go. Feel the body back and the front and the sides. Sense the boundaries and the structure of the space you're in. And then begin to bring back the flow, the movement, the breath. Moving or shifting in any way that feels intuitive, or just lowering to one side and then coming up. Finding your seat once more. Sit bones, long spine, hands to heart or heart and belly. And you can just rock and breathe, or we'll add our ohms, toning the sound om 3 times with your breath. And we honor om as both the sort of sacred sound it is, but also as a way of sort of acknowledging ourselves, others, and the world. So you can join in with that, or just listen or hum or sit. Draw the hands to heart center. You can rub the palms, feel a little warmth, a little heat. Then stretching the left hand out, palm up, right hand out, palm down. Lift your heart, connect our virtual moon circle. Last one of 2022. Big breath in, lift. And sigh it out. Hands to the earth. We bow to the earth. Our Mother Earth, our Grandmother Moon. All blessings be.